try watching Save Our Cinnamon without craving cinnamon buns. This is a delicious Baby Looney Tunes episode. It's the first segment of the 7th episode of the 2nd season, and the babies are visiting their auntie, who owns a bakery. And when they get there, after having some cinnamon buns, she reveals that she's going to have to close the bakery after 50 years in business, which is quite impressive. And this is because the landlord has raised the rents. And they come up with a plan to try and rectify this problem, and the plan basically involves breaking the Guinness World Record for the largest cinnamon bun. And while the narrative is actually about making this giant cinnamon bun, a lot of it is about how to make a cinnamon bun and what the baking steps or tips involve. And that can help some young children watching this to learn about baking, to find out more about what baking involves, and obviously specifically for cinnamon buns. And if it encourages any child to want to bake or want to learn more about ingredients and what goes into food, I think that that's great. Even though it's technically unhealthy food, treats are allowed now and then. And let's face it, cinnamon buns are pretty delicious, especially warm. Warm cinnamon buns are one of the most comforting things ever. So it definitely made me hungry, and I definitely now want cinnamon buns. And I have to say, it's quite a fun episode. I was curious to see what would happen, if Auntie would get to keep the bakery, and how on earth the babies would be able to pull off this giant cinnamon bun. Floyd obviously helped quite a lot. Very cute, great to see the babies getting involved, getting dirty, although Sylvester preferred parts of the baking that didn't involve mess, which I think a lot of children will, enjoy as well. One of the fun things about baking for children is that it's messy. You're going in there with your hands. But some children don't like the messy aspect. I don't like the messy part of baking. I don't really like putting my hands in, dough. I prefer using utensils. So I think the fact that it showed that not every child likes the messy part, I thought was quite a nice thing to do. Makes it feel a little bit more inclusive. But definitely a really enjoyable episode, and very sweet, with a decent narrative structure, and it kept me guessing until the end, curious to see what would happen. Save Our Cinnamon is definitely a good episode.